Hi, everybody. This is Marguerite Rigoglioso, founding director of Seven Sisters Mystery School, and this is the free online call, Psychic Protection for Everyone, so you have come to the right place for that. I invite everybody, whether you are new to Seven Sisters Mystery School or whether you are familiar with the school, to check out at some point the free audios and articles and webinars and CDs and other offerings that I have on the website. I think you will enjoy them very much. There are numerous other helpful things along the lines of what we're doing today that can be very interesting to you. You can also check out my blog for further guidance and spiritual suggestions and tools. And I am also now inviting everybody to please stop multitasking, whether you're listening live or listening at another time. This is really your gift to yourself to be able to pay attention carefully and to get the most out of it. So that means no texting, no chattering around on the email, no getting interrupted by phone calls and so forth. Really give yourself this time to be fully present. Okay. So we're going to begin in earnest here with first a memoriam to Steve Charrier, who is really, in a way, the instigation for this call. As some of you know, who have been reading my posts, and some of you who know Steve are aware, Steve took his life on March 14th of this year. And he was a high priest of tarot, as I call it, and a Western mystery teacher. And through a series of experiences I had both before and after his death, I've been led to believe that his death is indeed a gift, a kind of a message to spirit workers and conscious pilgrims of the world, and a call for us to bring attention to the deeper shamanic levels that affect us all, physically, psychically, emotionally, spiritually. So let's consider today this recording, this information, Steve's gift, and let's just take a moment to honor his memory, whether you knew him or not, for we are all co-journeyers on this path. So just close your eyes and tap in a minute to Steve. And wherever he may be in the Bardo, Steve, we send you blessings and greetings from planet Earth. Thanks for who you were, who you are, who you're going to be, the teachings you offered, the guidance, and the brotherhood that you offered. And we send you many blessings. So while you are in this state, I invite you to close your eyes if they're not already. And I'm going to lead you through a few things that are basically the first steps of good psychic hygiene, as I call it. So you're going to take a deep breath in, exhale, another deep breath in, and exhale, and another deep breath in, and exhale. And feel yourself gathering back to yourself any energies you might have had scattered out in the universe. Just instinctively bring them back to your energy body, your auric field, and bring them back to your physical body, so that you feel the weight of your body on the chair, on the floor, every place where you are touching Mother Earth, and you are feeling yourself fully inside your skin. And now becoming aware of your abdomen, you're going to see your abdomen like a tree trunk. This is going to be your grounding trunk. And we are going to become aware of the center of Mother Earth, where scientists tell us there may well be a molten iron crystal many miles high and wide. And that is Gaia's consciousness, Gaia's womb, she who knows you're here, who has every hair on your head counted. We're asking her permission for this grounding, and the grounding is really essential. It's number one in any psychic hygiene or protective work. You're going to see that grounding trunk from your abdomen dropping down now vertically all the way through your chair and the building, all the way down through the many layers of the earth, down and down to the very center, to that molten iron crystal, and you're going to see the end wrap around that crystal 3 times. You are going to now feel the surge of energy from Mother Earth, from Gaia, surging up, and that is coming up your grounding trunk. It is entering your root chakra and blessing it, and blessing each chakra as it continues to travel up the central channel of your body until it cascades out the top of your head, bringing a beautiful umbrella sphere of golden light all around you that extends all the way down around your body, even down below your feet, so that you feel yourself inside and part of a golden field of light. You are now aware of the quantum field, that is the subatomic level of your body, of your auric field, of your consciousness, and you are infusing this with a beautiful crystalline golden light. This is one of the absolute best protections. The golden light and the grounding. The golden light is a cloak mechanism. It allows you to be unseen by certain forces you might not want to be seen by, while at the same time it raises your vibration to the highest level, and it offers healing. Interestingly, I learned about this aspect of the golden light at the Alchemical Tarot Cafe of Steve Charrier back in December. One of the people who attended emailed me later and told me about this, because at this cafe I had brought up the issue of, I think that many of us as spirit workers are encountering some kind of psychic interference, maybe downright attack, and there's really been no forum to talk about this, nor help us set protections, particularly when we are set to do certain kinds of interventions at holy sites, at portals, when we are set to hold large classes online and whatnot. And I brought that up at that tarot cafe, and that would have been, a couple of months before Steve took his life. So that was one of the synchronicities that has led me to doing this call today. I would like you to listen to this call from the perspective of your grounding and the golden light as a filter, because this call is not about engendering paranoia, fear, victimization, or panic of any kind. It is simply about becoming aware, becoming conscious, opening to some possibilities of what may be going on the energetic level that is not readily seen in the three-dimensional world, and then becoming empowered about what to do with it. So I'd like you to take this into the consult of your own guidance, of your own intuition, and do with it what serves your greatest good. Some of it could be a little bit triggering, so understand that. What I'm going to have you do now, as you are thinking about the golden light and infusing yourself, is I'm going to have you close down your lower chakras just a bit. So your first chakra, for men, it's at the perineum. For women, it may well be up by the G-spot in your vagina. This is the chakra that connects you to the earth, but it's the one that has issues about money and finance and abundance and shelter and all that. You're just going to close that chakra down intuitively, like you're closing a kaleidoscope eye, down to about 5% of what it's capable of being open. This does not detach your grounding. It simply calms this chakra. Now your second chakra, a couple of inches below your belly button, that's the one that's connected with relationality, sexuality, creativity, and so forth. Relations. Also a wonderful chakra, but we are going to close that down also to about 5%, like a kaleidoscope eye of what it's capable of. And now the third chakra, about 2 fingers above your navel in the center of your body. Sometimes this gets activated when you're getting angry, when you're in a power struggle with someone. Also, the chakra of will, a wonderful chakra that propels us forward, but we're going to just close it down to about 5% to calm it. Why? Because these are the 3 chakras right now that humanity is dealing with most in terms of working things out, clearing our karma, and it's the chakras where we tend to get attacked. We tend to get stuck onto by thought forms, by entities, and so forth. So in these stages, as you're learning how to master psychic protection, you just want to have these gently closed down to help you feel grounded and calm. So you're going to just keep breathing through all of this as we now continue on. So why is it that we might need protection? And of course, some of you and many of you on this call understand a lot of what I'm going to be talking about. You perhaps may even know more. And if so, I encourage everyone to share on the Facebook page called Psychic Protection Tools for Everyone. It is the very page for this call and this event. I encourage you to write in and share all of the resources, tools, and techniques that you know about, because this really is a huge, huge topic. Can really only scratch the surface today, but hopefully some of it will be a good refresher or will add some things to what you already know. Why do we need protection? Okay, so in the world the way it is, we have a non-dimensional, an unseen dimensional realm, let's say, where there are energies and thought forms that get transmitted back and forth. And we know this by our communication with one another. We can sometimes be thinking of someone and they're calling. So most of you on this call probably understand that this is a real realm. This is an underutilized realm by most of the world because we're very much attached to 3 dimensions, and this operates on 4th and 5th and other dimensions. But psychic attack is what we might call a negative energy that someone has sent to you with conscious or unconscious intention to inflict harm upon you, your life, or your family. This can happen through negative thought forms of others, for example. When we are jealous of another, resentful of another, angry with another, rageful toward another, we are sending them energy, and that is a form of psychic attack. Similarly, we are receiving that when someone is directing it our way. Okay, just a fact of life. So we're going to talk about how we deal with it. Ratcheting it up another level, there are negative spells and curses that people can deliberately and ritually engage in to send your way. Unfortunately, this does go on. And this does go on in some very venerable traditions that are still operating in this way. And what we're hoping for is a general upgrade of ethics on the planet so that this type of thing is not going on, because it seems like the answer at the time, and yet it just creates more karma for you, for your family, and for your people in this lifetime and into other lifetimes. So we don't want to be doing those kinds of things. We want to be finding other solutions to our conflicts. You can be carrying a psychic attack from another lifetime, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about entities. We can also experience psychic attack in the form of media programs, programming that has to do with, for example, fear around money, around the economy's going to hell, around everything's falling apart around us, around we have to go to war because this country is such and such a way, around women's beauty, what constitutes beauty, what isn't, why we should be worried, how we're looking, how we're smelling, all these types of things, and worse, are media programs that it's helpful to start becoming aware of. And they come through movies, they come through advertisements, they come through TV, and now the internet increasingly. Psychic attacks can come from manipulations by covert agents. So this is a whole world of discussion that I won't go into. Many of you are aware of the schools of thinking around what kinds of things are actually being done in and around and to our planet by certain kinds of beings. And some people conjecture that some of this energy is coming not only through the media, but through some types of thought forms that are being sent through the public. It could be coming through chemtrails, nighttime sound frequencies. I have woken up to hearing a high-pitched sound in my ear, and I'm thinking, this is not right. This is not savory. Something's coming in. Again, we're not talking about getting paranoid here. We're just trying to become aware of what might be going on. What are some signs that you might be experiencing psychic attack? Well, for example, and this is not the only reason for it, but sudden or chronic illness could be a sign of psychic attack. A deep emotional upset you can't shake. A string of misfortunes or bad luck. Thoughts that are suddenly appearing a great deal in your mind that are not exactly like you. Sleep disturbances and nightmares, etc. So I want to mention a little bit about my own experience in this regard. And I think it's important for me to come out publicly about this because I think it's a good place for and means of discussion to help us all become aware. And I encourage this type of discussion on the Open Public Facebook group. Last summer, I went to Delphi, which was and still is one of the major communication portals on the planet to other dimensional realms. It is where the famous priestesses, the Pythias of old, sat and gave prophecy. So they were accessing higher dimensional knowledge and beings through their bodies, through their mind, through their upper chakras and lower chakras to give information to federations and common people alike. So I was given a year's worth of instruction by my guides in ceremonies on what to be doing there. And the mission was to do some things that would help humanity to move from the third chakra of will to the fourth chakra of heart. And of course, I was being required to do this operation on myself all along and during, and did it and still do it to varying degrees of success. However, that was what I was given to do. For whatever karmic reason, I have a strong connection to Delphi and so forth. So there was a small group that congregated around this and did this activity there. That was in the summer. Came back, and everything started to go to hell in my life. It looked like a kind of a midlife crisis, but it was combined with a strange illness that I contracted and even some suicidal ideation. Very unlike me. Okay, one thing is I'm scrappy and I'm a fighter, and I've never had that feeling, but all of a sudden I was like, am I done on the planet? Wow, the guides had better come through, or I just can't handle this anymore, blah, blah, blah. And it was also manifesting as there were certain events that had happened, and they were causing a lot of grief for me, and so forth. But the combination of everything, and there was another person close to me who had also gone on the trip. Same thing had happened to this individual, life cascading out of control. So I began to wonder what is actually going on here. And then when I did consult the guides, they were kind of indicating that I had maybe needed a little bit more protection. And I thought, now you tell me? I've been listening to you for a year. Where were the instructions? Where was the manual about this? I did the best I could with the protection. And then I went to a workshop by Randy Masters, who's an absolutely wonderful esoteric teacher of sacred geometry and many other topics. I went down to his workshop down the peninsula, and he started, lo and behold, talking about, well, people, they go and they do work at portals, major portals of the world, and they don't have proper protection, and they come back, and all of a sudden they're ill, and their life starts falling apart, and this and that, and I'm just sitting there shaking. I thought, oh, my God, that is exactly me. That is what has happened here. So before, during, and after that experience, I had been consulting numerous practitioners. I've counted up probably about 8, maybe more, differing practitioners, some of whom are actually on this call. Thank you very much. Bless your souls. And they were offering me varying levels of remedy for what I was going through, which, I was dealing on the emotional level and I was dealing on the psychic level. And eventually with the last practitioner in line, whose name is Gwen Jones, who works down in the desert in Southern California, I felt that I had probably rounded the corner of that whole experience. So that has spurred me to really get us talking about what is this protection, why is it needed, how can we help one another, where do we need to go from here. Kind of moving up a level here in the discussion, I'm talking about now negative entities, which are another order of business. This is related to, but somewhat different from, deliberate psychic attack. This has to do with the more chronic situation of having a negative entity attached to you. What are these negative entities? These are disembodied beings. They can be what we call hungry or angry ghosts, demonic energies, let's just state it out, plain and simple, yep. The unrestful dead, sometimes ancestors or those who have died who are hanging around and get into our energy field, or what I might call co-created energy or personality fragments or beings. For example, I had done an intervention with someone, an entity removal, and I was seeing that in a way this was co-created by this person through lifetimes. It was sort of like a little bit of a guilt complex partly. It was like a growth, almost like that this person in some senses had been responsible for. So this is not the final word on it, and there are many other types of beings that we could talk about. I'm not going to go deeply into it. But what I want to say is that these beings, they attach to holes in your energy body, your chakras, particularly a lot of times the problematic chakras that are more vulnerable, the lower ones. But it can be anywhere, your auric field, anywhere, your mental body, and so forth. They are karmically related. Sometimes these entities come from past lives in the form of beings that have sailed into you owing to curses by others, negative magic you have done, and yes, we have all been there, oaths you have taken, I will always do this, I will never do this, and oh my gosh, now you have an entity connected for a long time with you. They can happen through trauma. Trauma weakens the field or creates holes in the field, and whoop, entity will go right in there and set up home. So a lot of times entities will appear as emotion or conditions, depression, addiction, compulsions, obsessions, alcoholism, anorexia, bulimia, etc., or sometimes physical illness, especially undiagnosable ones, or of nebulous diagnosability, or chronic ones, or ones that have to do with kind of chronic fatigue. So, is that our entities always the cause of these things? Not necessarily. But what I contend is that a good look at the possibility of entity attachment could help us advance in our understanding of what to do with some of these very intractable problems in ourselves and in others. And the interesting thing about entities is they count on us not to see them, and they don't like to be removed. Why? Because it's a host situation. They receive food from your negative emotion. It's as simple as that. They get energy from your upset, your distress, and so forth. It's a food for them. So if we just think of it technically like that, it kind of takes the edge off what's happening here. And I think this is much more common than we would think, this phenomenon. Again, this is not about fear. It's about awareness, empowerment, hygiene, and solutions. Because when people like Steve die, and when we have an epidemic of depression and other conditions that are popping up all around, and we're trying to medicate just to cope, clearly the old way is not exactly working. So this brings us to the power of karmic awareness regarding this. What I have been learning and experiencing myself and in others is that when it comes to entities and psychic attack, there are no victims, there is always a contract, and it's important for you to understand your role and responsibility in the situation, be it in this or another lifetime. And this is the evolutionary edge of what I'm talking about here and what many other people are talking about regarding this subject. When you or somebody has an entity, there is always an agreement with this being. So one of the things you do, and there's not going to be time to do this today, but I will show you resources of how you can learn how to do this, is to see the contract, burn the contract, and break and burn the karmic sticks that we might call associated with this being and with this contract. They are always connected to our karma. In that, for example, so in my case, okay, all this fall, I started to have the sense, as I was going deeply into a study of Mary Magdalene, and I was reminded of the fact that Mary Magdalene had been removed of 7 demons by the Christed Master. And I began to take that seriously. I began to say, what is that all about? Wow, 7 demons. And then I thought, okay, this woman had to go through an entity removal process, 7 of them, maybe 1 for each chakra, in order to raise her vibration to the level of being able to handle the Christed Sacred Heart, the Christed energy, and her to step into her ministry. I thought, well, if it's good enough for Mary Magdalene, it's good enough for me. Let me check into it. And so I would say that I'm a work in progress about entities in my own space. I did have an experience and an awareness that there has been at least one who likes to connect to my third chakra, my little pesky chakra, about power and all that. Now, the way it's connected to my karma, and what it is it's a sadistic being, okay? So it likes to get me into places where I get very righteous and where I get judgmental of other people and get a little bit harsh with my students and so forth and so forth. I have to be careful of this thing. And it's come up in ceremonies, ceremonial contexts and so forth. I've lost a friend over it. Serious stuff. I'm revealing a lot to you today because I feel that I'm supposed to, so that we can all start looking at our own situations, because it's always like, oh, somebody else has the entity. Well, let's just get a little bit more aware of what's going on. So this entity, I didn't really see it clearly until this past weekend. And yet again, I was in one of these states where I was feeling all of my sadness, my grief, childhood core woundedness about my mother's death when I was a child and so forth. And I went up to see my friend Sharon Mazer, who's a ritual healer, and I just went to see her as a friend. And all of a sudden, she was having me do this ritual where we wrote everything down on a rock, we threw it into the water, and then we burned all the thought forms that I was having and threw that into the water. And in the process of the meditation that we were doing, I thought, oh my gosh, there's an entity in my third chakra, wow, and they're removing it. And so I had to work with the Christed Master and the archangels, because I have learned that they are kind of like the big guns, so to speak. And that's why even in indigenous cultures around the world, they'll be calling on the Christed Master, the Blessed Mother, and ascended masters and so forth, because they're there to do the work. You're not the one who's supposed to be doing the work, you know, because if you try to do it, you can get into a little bit of trouble. So I was calling upon those energies and hopefully having this entity removed. You know, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm working on it. But I'm showing this to you because the way it comes in regarding my karma is because I have had lives where I have really abused my power. I've had a very specific memory of having been an inquisitor, and some of you I've told about this, where, you know, I thought I was doing the Christed work in that lifetime, but I was actually possessed, and I was sending women to their death. Okay, a lot of you I meet nowadays, and I'm trying to make karmic amends for that. So, and I'm still dealing with this entity. So, the way that it will manifest emotionally in my life is by loneliness, sometimes a creeping depression, and of late these suicidal fantasies like, gee, what would the notes say? You know, all this type of stuff. And so the karma is that I had to, number one, recognize that I've had this and other lives in which I've done negative things. I've also done positive things, very positive. But now this post-2012 period is a time of balancing it out, becoming aware and removing some of these contracts, stopping the game, seeing it for what it is, making amends, taking responsibility, and moving ahead. So that's what I'm about. It's what I teach. It's what I encourage others to do. And it can take a little bit to be able to see your own karma. And so I'm going to be talking about some resources that can help you with that. Okay, so looking at best protection tools, and we might call them proactive prevention tools, as well as protection tools if you find that you're under the influence of something. One, of course, is always breathing. And what I'd like to do is to have everybody just take a deep breath in now and exhale. Because I don't know about you, but that conversation definitely activates me. So breathing, establishing the grounding trunk that we did at the beginning, and closing the lower chakras to 5% of what they can be open. Using the golden light for healing, cloaking, and raising the vibration. So let's just have everybody practice that for a minute right now. Just reestablish what you established at the call, at the beginning of the call. Okay. Your golden sphere. And another tool and technique is going invisible, or what some people call body of glass. So this is a way of making your energy body completely permeable such that any energies go through you. This is particularly helpful if you're in an argument with somebody and you can feel the psychic attack waves going over the airwaves and you're obsessing about this person and having the argument in your mind. I'd like you to have the experience of this right now. Just close your eyes and allow your body to go like glass. What can accompany it is a feeling of calm, and this allows for any energies that have gotten stuck in you to move through you and out. It's a good thing to do when you're in a downtown area and there are individuals who have entities that are walking all around you. They look a little threatening. They're acting a little threatening. Body of glass, walking down the street, just going to be ignored because nothing you're going to do is going to trigger them. You're just basically invisible. Okay, so that's another way. Now, you don't want to do it when you're in a car or crossing a street. You have to be careful because you will become invisible and you'll get jostled or whatever. Okay, you can be invisible in your car, but you better put like a violet light around your car so that other cars can see you, your car. And then one of the most important methods for getting into right psychic alignment is the love vibration. And basically, when I did ceremony to prepare for this call last week, they basically said, all you need to do is say love, and you can basically hang up the phone because anything else you say is going to be teaching them lower vibrational techniques, which is true, but not the golden light, not the body of glass and so forth, but anything having to do with protecting the field and so forth. Basically what they're saying is that once humanity actually gets hip to the fact that the love vibration is the best protection, you're going to see people going in droves into love practice. And what this means is working with the Sacred Heart, establishing residence for the Sacred Heart in your own heart, in your light body. I'm not going to go into this today, but it is something that I'm going to be doing in a spring webinar coming up that I'll talk about in a little bit. Okay? But the love vibration, I've learned, it's great when you're going into fear. You fear you're going to be attacked or you're being attacked or you feel like there's energies in the room. You just start generating love from your heart into your whole field. Love. It dispels things. It's basically what the Christ Master and the Blessed Mother use and so forth. It creates like an odor that is uninhabitable for these other energies. And so then, of course, the prayer work, developing relationship with these beings, could be the Christed Master, the Blessed Mother, the Archangels, the Ascended Masters, other great beings, whatever in your tradition is the pure vibration of love. cultivating the energy and the relationship with those beings and calling upon them when you're needing help. Now, the point is you're never combating these entities or these energies. You're just looking at them with neutrality. And that's the other piece that can take a long time of some training through the psychic schools that I'll talk about in a bit. Another protective means is working with calling upon community, particularly if you are at a crisis moment, you're feeling incredibly vulnerable or suicidal. Here's guidance from Robert Allen Pittman, who is another master teacher. He says, often we don't tell others we're feeling at our worst so as not to drag them down, but ask for help of one or more friends, even if it's, I need protection now, please, without giving details. Then others know to put wings out for you. Have the friend or group burn a candle while sharing a photograph of you. Your folks can do it in different places, but have them agree upon a time to do it together, even if for only a minute, even just to say your name. So this brings us to the question of community, and that's really important. And that is why I'm going to return to my talk about some other tools and resources, but I want to take a related little detour here to let you know about this webinar that I had already planned before Steve's death, and it is, I think, a very helpful kind of program that we can go through together in order to solidify this idea of community support and having a touchstone every week for 6 weeks. Because a lot of us, we don't have the church anymore. We don't have the touchstone place, and we get off the rail with our emotions. We get out of sync with spirit. So this is coming up, folks. It's 6 Tuesdays, April 15th through May 20th, and it's the same time frame as we're doing now, 12 to 1:15 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be 8 p.m. UK by the time it starts, by phone or web, and it's going to be available on Into Infinity. It's perfect for you if you want to live from a spiritual place more of the time, and you find yourself losing your thread to spirit more than you'd like. You're slipping into negative thinking maybe. You're wanting that place for some inspiration, for some reconnection with the divine, with others, and you would like to have maybe some transmissions and empowerments coming through. It's going to keep you connected to source, help you clear out the energetic junk, because it's like, going a week without a shower, right? We have to clear and cleanse the field, and it's going to help you get on a positive track. So it's like a weekly sacred infusion, and it should be very inspiring and hopefully blissful for everybody. The 75-minute sessions are going to have a guided journey to connect with spirit, receive empowerments. You're going to have teachings on the day's theme, intuitive Q&A on your personal questions, some group discussion. This is all online, so you'll either be on the phone or on Skype or on the screen, the question and answer screen. And we're going to be working with the love vibration, which is also, as I see it, a protective field transmitted through our work together. And that's really something that conscious pilgrims need. They need that group protective field to be aware of it and tap into it. So that's one of the things we'll be doing. And those of you who opt for that payment level can also have a 45-minute individual mentoring session with me, scheduled for some time over those 2 months. And there's a private, closed Facebook page for discussion. So here's just briefly what the 6 calls are. The first one is connecting with the divine and tapping into the support that's available to you. And we're looking at healing at the soul level and using that golden light to generate and receive healing. We're going to be working with the energy of the Sacred Heart that I mentioned earlier today, so that we can move from mental will to infinite love and really establish that in the energy body. And then the calls 4 and 5 are about abundance, both financial and other. Attracting what you want, getting back on the positive rail, getting out of the negative, bitter grinding that we sometimes get into when things are not exactly going our way, or learning how to reframe, reminding ourselves how to reframe. And then using that to manifest abundance more consistently. And then finally, we'll be talking about how to commit to the sacred path. What is your next step for spiritual growth? So what you're going to get are the 6 guided meditations, and you can listen back to them, reuse them to keep your spiritual connection strong. You can download them. There'll be inspirational teachings to help you further your spiritual awakening. Isn't that what we're all looking for? You'll have lifted energy so that positive events and abundance will start manifesting in your life more regularly. As we all know, when we get back on the track, things start going better. You'll find that you'll have an elevated mood, or you'll know how to shift into one, getting out of the emotional pain or lethargy. And you'll have a renewed commitment to your daily practice. Of course, it's really important for us all to connect through some kind of meditation daily so that you can live from a more sacred place. And of course, you'll be reminded of that fact that you're guided, that you're touched and loved by Spirit, however you conceive that Spirit to be. So briefly, the cost, if you do the mentoring call with me, it's 4 monthly payments of $97. Or if you pay in full, it's a little less, $377. If you don't want the mentoring, it's 4 monthly payments of $87. Or pay in full, a bit less, $318. And today, only for those of you who are listening live on the call, there's a $40 discount if you register on the link that's below the screens on the webpage that you got for this webinar. And when you go into the shopping cart, you enter SPIRIT40, all caps, SPIRIT and the number 40. That discount is good today until 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK. And again, you can register on the link below. So I hope that some of you will do that. It will be a really beautiful, loving, inspiring way of getting your spiritual infusion every week in an extremely convenient format. Hope to see a lot of you joining us for that. Okay, so to go back to some more of the protective elements, I talked in the publicity for this call about also sleep protection. So some of you, and I noticed your children, have issues around sleep. Nightmares, waking up unexpectedly, waking up with a negative feeling, that type of thing. So here are some techniques for using these psychic tools to create a safer sleep space for yourself. One is you get into bed, feet are in the bed, your covers are over you, you're sitting up though, and you're grounding yourself, and you're also grounding the room. So after you set up your grounding trunk and your sphere of golden light, you see like a grandmother tree in the center of your room. You ask Mother Earth permission to ground that, and then you drop that all the way down to the center. And you see the roots grasping around the molten iron crystal. And you bring up in your room a vibrational color. Violet can be restful. Just have an instinctive sense of what is the restful, high vibrational color that you want. Lately, I've just been going for gold because I'm like, you know what? I'm not taking any chances. And I put gold in. The other thing about that, though, is if you are doing it for a child or you are sleeping with somebody in your room, you want to intuitively get a sense of what is the vibrational color that is appropriate for them as well. And you want the color to be that so that it won't be too agitating in any kind of way for the person. Again, the sphere of golden light around you or your child. And if you have a partner and you're sleeping with that person and you can encourage this person to do this with you, it's great. And you can also teach the child these techniques because it helps the child to feel safe and protected. So you do the sphere of golden light in and around you, and then you can add around the sphere a kind of a barrier, either a mirror that faces outward, or you see it as being rubber, or a kind of a mesh that's semi-permeable and that only lets in good energies. Our intention is everything. You can ask the dream guardians for help. What I like to do is set the archangels around myself, the 4 archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. There are more archangels than that, but those are the 4 that I work with. And I also set them around the room, and I set them around my house. And I have Archangel Michael with the sword facing the entrance point of the room or the home. You can also add purification with sage before you get into bed. Those of you who know how to work with sage bundles, you just light some sage in a safe container and have it filtering through your room, because that is a time-worn technique for letting negative energies leave, release, and go back to their home. Okay. So it is important for us to all become more aware of our space, our auric field, our karmic reality and history, and to be able to see for our own eyes, through our own senses, energies, entities, things that we're both setting out toward others and things that we're receiving. In this category is also cording, which I won't go into, but we can send and receive cords into other people's chakras, which are usually things that are best detached. So some of the schools that can allow for the psychic training or facilitate the psychic training, most of the ones I know are, of course, local to the Bay Area of California. But I am encouraging everyone to add your recommendations for clairvoyant training programs to the Psychic Protection Tools for Everyone Facebook page, along with any other suggestions you have. The one I know best is Foundation for Spiritual Development in San Rafael. That's where I did clairvoyant training for 3 years. There's also the Venerable Berkeley Psychic Institute in Berkeley, California, Psychic Horizons, and Asclepion. It may be that Asclepion also has an online component, so you can, I'm not giving the URLs because you can basically key in to the web any of these names and you'll find the information you need. Those of you who are just simply listening to the phone and not looking at the slides, you can go back and scroll forward to the slide that has this information if you want it. I know there's also a Clairvoyant Center of Hawaii, and they, I believe, do offer some online training as well. There's the College of Psychic Studies in London. And, of course, there are many others, and there are private teachers who give this. The list is probably extremely long, but that's at least something to get you started and get you thinking. There are also a number of practitioners, probably many as well, who can help you with entity work. If you think you or a loved one might have an entity or you're not sure, these are some people that either I know directly or I have had a referral to by reputable people. So, whoops, sorry about that little thing there. Bonnie Saratore, who I believe lives in Las Vegas, but I think she also works remotely. William Linville, I do not know exactly where he's located, but I do know he also works by phone. Joy Reichard, who is local to the San Francisco Bay Area and the South Bay. Beth Reuter and Michaela McGivern, who are also in or around the San Francisco Bay Area. In Kent, UK, one person I know there is Ivan Denton. And again, here are ways in which you can contact them, either through email or their websites. You can come back to this slide, and I invite you, again, to add your recommendations to the Facebook page. And then sometimes you want to look at yourself energetically, or you want to work with yourself karmically, And, of course, as most of you know, I provide such services in spiritual mentoring to help you advance on your sacred path, be it for your personal spiritual growth, for the development of your ministry or your sacred career. I seem to have a knack for helping people to look at their past lives, and I've been working to help folks clear energetic space and do healing as well. Sharon Mazer, who I mentioned that I had done that ritual with, where I sort of saw my entity, one of them, she is available in the North Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area, does ritual healing, and she also does physical health improvement through visualization. So she's a good person to go to. I know there are many more, and again, please add your recommendations to the Facebook page. So I'm encouraging everybody to enroll now for the Keeping Your Spirits Up webinar. And we still have about 10 to 15 more minutes. I'm going to invite questions. Person whose phone is, the last two digits are 73. You are in California. I'm going to open the line. And the initials on the phone are MC. So if you can identify as that person, you can start speaking. Hello. Hi, yes, okay.
Hi, Marguerite. This is actually Jenna. And,
hi, Jenna.
Hi. I'm so grateful to you. This is really timely. I'm feeling that this is a collective pushback because I just experienced my first recognition of an ongoing psychic attack. And like you, I usually look at myself. First, where am I out of balance? What am I co-creating? What am I manifesting? But then having to deal without fear, like with empowerment, like you said, about the fact that, just like we try to guard our thoughts because we know we're powerful manifestors, that we can be subject to unwitting attack. And at about the same time, you were going through this, I was dealing with a odd recurrence of a life-threatening illness out of nowhere, once again, that had only occurred, when dealing with a person that I know has strong entity attachments and that I had co-created an abusive relationship with. And lo and behold, it was making my face fall up, and working with a healer who identified it, even got, like you were saying, using the archangel energies, not trying to tackle it so much yourself, and learning how to deal with the Christ energy and close those holes, the places where, different chakras. For me, it was the seventh chakra. I'd let my seventh chakra get so blown out that I enmeshed with a person and took on that, a lot of those energies, and it was taking a long time, and it was physically threatening my life. As often we're making these positive changes. So finding the appropriate healers and learning these protection tools, whether going invisible, building a pyramid of mirrors, being mirrored. Often, if you have a Kona, you can send it up to the source through the channel of golden light, have it transmuted into good energy and return to you. When you're calling your pieces back, have the golden light cleanse them before you bring them back. Learning all these skills and opening this dialogue when I think it is a crucial time. I think it's a last-ditch effort, as many of us are starting to really raise our vibrations and positive stuff, that these entities are coming in for the attack and using anybody who's porous. I don't even blame the other person. He was used as a tool. And so I just wanted to thank you for your work. I'll save all my suggestions for the Facebook page and put it all there, but I just wanted to confirm the synchronicity that so many of us have been under dire attack who didn't think of it that way before and need these tools. It's like defense against the dark arts. Yeah. It needs to happen right now. Thank you for your work,
Jenna.
Margaret.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for your bravery in opening up your phone line there. And I'm so glad also to know, because I was seeing some of the things on Facebook that you were posting, and I was like, whoa, I wonder what's going on. So I'm just going to mute you again, but thank you. And I wanted to, that's bringing to mind something important you said, Jenna, is the idea that it's important to understand that these entities and these attacks are actually paradoxical teachers and allies. So, what's happening for me through whatever I might have attracted through my work at Delphi and whatever I might have attracted through these past life situations, they're helping me to genuinely refine my character, amplify my ethics, purify my light body, so that I can genuinely be a minister of this vibration on the planet. So these are teachers. And as we can start embracing that understanding, it allows us to dance with them, and we realize that the original warriorhood was a dance. It wasn't really a combat. It was a dance. So I just want to put that out there. Let's see. I've got here the last two numbers are 19 in Oakland. I'm opening up your line, and your initials are DM. So if you're there, you can speak. Somebody
Hello?
Yes. Hi, that's you. That's you.
Wonderful. Hi. This is 10 in Oakland, and
hi, 10.
Hi. Very powerful call. My question is, it's kind of just open-ended, but if you could say kind of maybe whatever comes to you or whatever feels right, more about the karmic contract scenario and or maybe some resources like you mentioned.
Right.
That seemed important.
The places that can help you deal with the karmic contracts are any place, any of the clairvoyant schools.
Okay.
In particular, I know that Foundation for Spiritual Development in San Rafael is big on that. Most likely the other ones in the Bay Area and Marin are big on that. They can help you go through the technique of, it's basically seeing the contract on the floor in front of you, shining. They establish you with a creator light in your 8th chakra. You shine it onto that. You burn the contract. You see 2 sticks that are associated with the karma. You break them mentally in half. You shine your creator light on that and burn them. But I think it would be helpful for you to have somebody walk you through that. And it could also be me. You could have a session with me, or you could just go to the Foundation for Spiritual Development, so you feel like you have more of a sense of mastery over what that process is for yourself. Great. And you don't have to. Sometimes you'll have a sense intellectually of what was the agreement with this particular entity. And I think personally, this is my personal feeling, it's a good idea if this has been a big entity in your life, it's a good idea to know what is the issue there. But some of them, things that creep in, contracts that you make during the week that are just not right for you, you don't really need to know intellectually, and that's why the visualization can really help and just cut right down to it. Okay, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Great. And while you were speaking, I actually had a sense of maybe like kind of a collective contract.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, good. Whoa, a lot of information coming in on that comment, a lot of information, because, yes, there are collective contracts. There are collective contracts in families, in neighborhoods, in ethnic groups, in political groups, in countries, in genders, and so forth. It goes on. And I know that at Foundation for Spiritual Development, they were kind of hinting around some of this as well, which is really interesting. Because there's a lot of victimization contracts that go on with groups, right? And so what is that victimization contract all about? You know, I don't want to go down this road, but I've talked about victimization contracts for women and woman as a whole, right? Where did that come from? Why is that around? What's the karmic amending that's happening there? Okay, that's just kind of a scary edge for a lot of people. And again, this is never, ever, ever about blaming the victim. This is about simply becoming responsible for what we have done in this lifetime or others, cleaning it up, and moving forward, getting empowered. Okay, so it's a big difference there. Okay, Ten?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Let me just go take a look to see if there are anybody who's written into the Q&A field. Otherwise, I do see that there are some others on the phone that I will address. I suspect that more of you are writing into the Q&A field. I've only seen one person, but there's quite a few of you online, and I don't know, I am apologizing if there's something technically not quite right with this setup, but I do know that one question has come through. So if you have other comments or questions, please have them come through. And we're just going to go a little extra today. Okay, I'm going to open up the line to person in Eureka, last number 34 of your phone line. I know who this is. Oops, are you there? Oh, okay. Okay, are you there now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, it's Montana.
Hi, Montana.
How are you? It was a wonderful presentation. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
I did have it generated a question for me. Actually, I've been asked to mediate with a person who is gay and works with people who are fundamentalist Christian. And she says every time they talk to me, I can't hear them. I can't understand what they're trying to say to me, and she feels like it's spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to work through that. And so I'm wondering about. This reminds me of a contract. Is this a group contract of energy around her not being worthy or whatever?
So, re-explain the situation. You are working with two clients in mediation. One is gay.
No. One person has asked me to help her with this problem, which may involve mediation, but it isn't a mediating point yet. But and also it's a spiritual issue.
Yeah,
and
they're
so,
fundamentalist Christians.
Yes, and apparently they've been having disagreements or whatever, and she's searching and trying to understand from a Christian point of view the where do gays fit into this, and what she's hearing is a fundamentalist attitude. So, but what I'm concerned about is the psychological. This is a negative energy.
Yeah.
That's put towards her that is spiritual, and I anything that you can offer in the way of
can she walk away from the situation?
I don't believe so. I believe she faces it daily.
Okay. This might be a longer conversation because I'd have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
But what I can just say some general things. She's coming up against a program that has some very fierce energies that are attached to it. And they are not Christed energies. They are energies of lower vibration. They think that they're doing the bidding of the Christed world, and that's not exactly what's happening here. It's a judgment. It's an attack. And so the degree to which she can extricate herself from this situation is the degree to which she's going to be a happier camper right now, because there's no arguing with this type of thing. This is the other thing about entities and so forth. There's no negotiating. There's no arguing. It's like either the person who has the entity or the program running wants to wake up or they don't. Because normally what will happen is if you try to start getting in with them and this and that, blah, 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 they'll wrap you in energetically. They'll start an argument because they then want to steal your energy. They'll start an argument, or they'll start a sob story, or they'll start something or other. So you have to just get hip to the fact that this is going to go on. And I think this woman is kind of wasting her breath. She probably needs to get out of the situation.
Yeah. At least psychically, spiritually, she needs to distance herself from it. And that would be
and there might be some techniques that you could, if she needs to cope right now, there might be some techniques that you could have her work with. Maybe bringing some from the call today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and thank you so much for this, because it really points out how important it is to stay away from those negative focused groups. And I, every time I encounter it now, I can really back out, and it doesn't anger me. I don't get drawn into that, and can put energy towards that. And
exactly. You don't want to get into polarity. And you don't want to get into the argument, because that's just feeding whatever negative entities are getting a jolly dinner out of it. Okay,
right.
So that's why the moving into the higher level, but moving into neutrality and just extricating yourself and getting out of the contract is what's really important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Marguerite.
All right. Okay, dear. I'm going to put you back on mute, and then I'm going to... let's see, there's somebody in Tennessee, and the last two numbers are 39. The initials on the phone are SD. I am opening up the phone line right now for you. SD, last two numbers, 39. Yes, hi.
Hi, Marguerite. It's nice to talk to you. I have a quick question. When you were talking about the collective, is it possible for one person to diminish or clear ancestral? I come from lots and lots of low vibrating things. In fact, I'm dealing now with a brother who's an alcoholic, and a mother who never drank is now just disgusting, and I can't believe it. But I know that it's always been there. There's some type of curse. Is that possible for me to break through that for my whole family line?
Okay. Basically, what you can do is you can do your own work. And if those people are not open to any kind of conversation like this, you're not going to be going there with them. What you might want to do is work with a practitioner to see what can be done. There might be some ethical interventions that could be done for clearing of your family line. People that are good for this type of work are like diviners, but there are also other practitioners. Sometimes psychics can also help, but I know that diviners are particularly interested in the ancestral clearing and healing. So I would suggest going and really sitting down and working with a practitioner around that to see what is in alignment for everybody, what is ethical for you to do and not to do, because probably this comes from unrestful dead energies or things that have been passed through your lineage that you might be able to clear with impunity from this position, because it has to do with people who've already passed. So you're going to be wanting to work with their spirits, okay, and just doing some clearing there. So I would just say find some good practitioners near you, okay?
Okay.
But there's hope there, but it may be that you're not going to be directly working with any of your family members or directly doing, quote, anything on them or to them.
Right. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye. I have another call here that is in California as well. Last two digits are 25, and the initials are JS.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm working with, physically, I have made a tumor in my body, and I think it's very definitely from past lives, from my spiritual growth. I did Kundalini yoga very intensely with a sound healing, and a psychic afterwards said that I had knocked something loose because I had a car accident right after the Kundalini. And so right now I'm facing surgery and reconstructive surgery, but I feel like it's generational. That it's,
you feel like what? Say it again.
It's from generational.
Generational. Yeah.
Yes. And also I feel like it's a huge leap, spiritual leap on me.
Yes.
To grow in this way.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to see the bigger picture rather than just my physical body. And so advice on the Sacred Heart and the Christ energy. I was raised Catholic, so I'm so resistant to that. Advice on calling in those energies would be really helpful.
Okay. So, again, this is something we're going to do more of in the webinar, but let's just take a moment then to do this right now. This is going to be our last and our way of closing for this call. So if everybody, I invite you to just take a deep breath in, exhale, close your eyes. And we are calling upon the energy of the Sacred Heart now. This energy that moves through many of our sacred, hallowed helper beings who have both been off planet and walked this planet. And we are seeing that image of the Sacred Heart, the heart that beats within the being of the Christed Master or the Blessed Mother or others, is an energy body. It's an energetic reality. We are going to see now this Sacred Heart, and you are going to see the image of a being who carries the Sacred Heart in front of you. You're going to allow that being to touch your heart now. And if you wish, you are going to invite that being to transfer the Sacred Heart into your heart. And just feel yourself absorbing the energy of the Sacred Heart. Feel what it is to have your energy center upgraded, your cells and your whole organ to be upgraded to this level of the Sacred Heart. And I invite you to put your hand on your heart. And state some kind of prayer of commitment around this, if you wish. Or a request for continued help with integrating. And now knowing that you carry that within your heart, feeling your grounding, taking a deep breath in, exhaling. Okay, beloveds. Well, we've gone a little over, and we are at time. For those of you who are inspired, you still have a half hour now to enroll in the webinar with the discount, Spirit 40. I hope to see many of you joining us, and I am so honored and feel so blessed that so many of you joined, heard this call. I know some of you, I don't know all of you, and I just feel that through this last piece of the Sacred Heart, we've all now united our heart fields, and we've united our heart fields with the greatest protector, the greatest protection energy beings of all. And so we can feel confident in going forth with this day, informed, protected, elevated, and inspired. And with that, I will say farewell to everyone, and blessed be.